38 pounds in the black corner. From St. Louis,
Here comes Mr. Pro.
Andre the Giant.
Gonna get his legs in on the bruiser.
Number one, the greatest WWE champion of all time, and in many ways, the man who made the title what it is today, Bruno Sammartino.
his opponent weighing 236 pounds in the white corner. From Van Nuys, California.
Welcome into another edition of Retro Wrestling Rewind, and today it's an honor and a privilege to be able to sit down and talk with the legend himself, PCO. PCO, man, thanks for coming on the program. It's just, I mean, we've been playing tag team, literally trying to get you on the program, and thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're traveling and doing a lot of NWA stuff, a lot of Ring of Honor stuff, but thanks for being on the program.
It's a pleasure, and yeah, very, very busy. You know, gotta find locations, find people, and always looking for different opportunities for the Monday Night PCO and Distro as well. Plus, you know, training and getting in the ring, and you know, a few times a week when not on the road. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to think about. You know, it's pretty crazy right now.
Yeah. I mean, and the question that I was posted, someone tweeted me at the RW Rewind on Twitter. If you want to pose a question, you know, kind of a follow-up question. People have been asking, what in your career? I mean, did you find winning the 3 WWF tag team titles as the Quebecers more fulfilling than your resurgence and winning the NWA World Tag Team titles? I mean, they're two totally different spectrums, the WWF and the NWA. Which one means a lot more to you?
To me, it's the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship, and also the NWA, and on top of that, the Crockett Cup. So, if you add everything together, the Crockett Cup plus the NWA tag title plus the ROH tag title plus the ROH 6-man tag titles, well, that's a lot of titles in 2019, and yes, you know, at 25 years old, I became a 3 times WWE Tag Team Champions. But it's the only little piece of souvenir that I can say that was pretty good about the WWE. It's because it was my first run ever. You know, it was my first run ever in the big time. But this is by far the most rewarding one because it's always the type or the kind of run that I was looking for to have in my career, and for it to happen at such a you know, a late stage of my career, this is pretty unbelievable. I always wanted to impact the business, but I never thought that I would impact it by maybe becoming the greatest comeback in sports history altogether.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of putting you know, as the NWA tag team. I mean, there's been so many great tag team champions from the NWA, the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express. Do you see yourself and your tag team partner Brody King? I mean, is that a goal in your? I mean, I know that you know you're not. It's not the beginning of your career. It's kind of towards the the middle part, and you've made a resurgence. Would you like, when whenever the book is written on the end of your career, when you're no longer wrestling, would you like it to be that you were one of the greatest NWA World Tag Team Champions in the sport?
Absolutely, and I think it will go there down in history, because there was only just 4 winners of the Crockett Cup. So it was Nikita Koloff and Dusty Rhodes, the Road Warriors, Lex Luger and Sting, and PCO, Brody King, Villain Enterprises. So, and that came with the World Tag Team Championship. So, yeah, this is looking at all the names and matching those names in history and accomplishing feats and something special. It ranks right up there with so many other things in my career. But this is one of the most craziest experience and craziest and funniest experience of my entire career, and I was really looking forward. Going into that tournament, I was really looking forward into winning the whole thing and getting the Crockett Cup. That was a goal itself. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, and going into the tournament, I mean, knowing that you're going to be in the finals and that that you're going to win that eventually you're going to win those tag titles. I mean, that's just got to be kind of a highlight. You're just like going, I mean, this is going to be awesome. You're going to be up there with winning the Crockett Cup and then winning the tag titles. It's just, you can't put two things together that are not NWA. It's the Crockett Cup and the tag team titles. I mean, it's just winning those on the same night. It's got to be awesome. So.
And also the cup was ended by Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA. So, growing up as a kid, I was a big fan of Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA. And, I was like a super young kid, maybe 7, 8 years old. And I'm from Montreal, so we were getting more wrestling from up north, which is New York, Toronto, Montreal, and Boston. Then we were getting wrestling from the south, which is like Atlanta and, Florida and things like that. But it was coming on the air, so I was very familiar with all the, especially with the magazines back then. So I was really, really familiar with all the NWA superstars. And it was, and then also after being with WCW, who was the, they kind of changed the NWA into WCW for a little while, and now back to NWA. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, whenever when I saw that you won the tournament, I was just super excited for you. I mean, kind of going back to when you were growing up. I mean, how were you introduced to, to the sport and to the business that you're currently in? I mean, professional wrestling. I mean, I went to see some NWA stuff as a kid. I mean, where was your first match, and who introduced you, and how old were you when you kind of first started watching wrestling?
Yeah, I was really, really young. My grandfather was watching it sometimes, but he's not the one who really got me into it. Like, he really didn't know much about it, and it was mostly just like a fan, a fan who really believed it, believes in wrestling very strongly. Like, he would say it would be like the chair and the living room would be like maybe 6-7 feet from the TV. Then he was by the end of the match, he was in front of the TV. So he was really getting into it. But I was never a kid that was getting into it as far as like, I want this guy to beat up this guy, or this guy's been cheating too much. I always had like that kind of perception to enjoy the whole thing as a whole, more than just to really cheer for someone. I was never a big cheerer or big booer. I was always like mostly a witness, because I was fascinated by the art of pro wrestling. And even as a kid, I sometimes I questioned myself, like, this looked pretty real, or we had that say that maybe world title match might not be, that might be real and more real than the prelims or other matches as a kid. But, without knowing anything about the business and not having a talk with anyone from the business in school, we had to come up with a theater piece in French, because I went to school in French, but I had English courses too. But so I just decided to play the Hulk Hogan part, and my opponent, his real name was Pierre Martel, played the Rick Martel character, and then we pretty much, the whole theater piece is pretty much based around like a TV show, like interviews, of commentaries, and after the match, before the match, and impressions and things like that. And so we actually put like the gymnastic mats on the floor in the gymnasium at the class, around the mats and people cheering and everything. And so that was my first real experience. But that came from the age of 2 or 3 years old. When you're brought up in Canada, they put skates on your feet and you play hockey. And you go to hockey school and things like that. And getting up early for hockey practices in the morning, I would turn on, flip on to the channels on the TV, and there's always some wrestling coming on, or documentary and on wrestling and things like that. And I really got hooked there. And then after that, going to my high school with all my friends, we were picking up the newspaper in the morning, and we were going all the way to the wrestling ads. With Montreal, where Dino Bravo was the champion for 7-8 years, and Rick Martel was an AWA champion, and the Road Warriors used to come in for big shows at the Montreal Forum, and King Tonga, and a bunch of big names, Ric Flair, Billy Robinson. They used to come and work with the top guys here, So just grew up with wrestling around me, watching TV, and I was the first one who told my dad, let's go to was every Monday night in Postal Bay Arena, and Postal Bay Arena was probably 6,000 seaters. And then for big shows, maybe 4 or 5 times a year, the Road Warriors came in, and big names would sell out. The Montreal Forum was like 18,000 seats. So I would go to all those shows, and then eventually went to a wrestling school. So I was hooked. From day one, when I wanted to see a show live, or when I watched it on TV, I was hooked to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that, you watch it one time and you get hooked. But, kind of going back to your beginning of your WWF career, 1993, they brought you in for a try. You got hired, and then you got a great tag team, the Quebecers. I mean, how was your thoughts, and who came up with that? The gimmick and the whole thing about the Quebecers. I know it's an Mountie tag team, because it was
the whole idea. Jacques Rougeau had been the Mountie, had a pretty successful year and a feud with the Big Boss Man, and took a year off after the huge year that he had against Big Bossman. He was on a good, really good run, on a good spot on the card, and one of the main attractions for many shows, or big shows like Rumble, Survivor Series, and WrestleMania. I can't exactly remember and pinpoint which one was what, but I know he had a huge run. And his son was turning 5 at the time, and it was his birthday, and he had another son on his way, and he just took a year off from WWE, and he did like big indie dates. Like he would get paid well, I guess, working for Carlos Colon in Puerto Rico. And so Puerto Rico was one of the places that the Rougeau were going sometimes as a tag team, or just Jacques by himself as the Mountie. And then he was on a year off because he wanted to spend more time with the family and with his kids and all that. So I was already booked in Puerto Rico. I kind of made my name in England for All Star Wrestling, and Germany for Otto Vance and Peter Williams, and in South Africa for Jackie Kuhn. And eventually got booked in Puerto Rico to feud with Jose Gonzalez, Invader. So I was living in Puerto Rico. I had been there for like 3 or 4 months when Jacques came in, and he never heard of me, didn't know nothing about me, even if we were like from the same hometown. Didn't know what I was all about or what I was doing. So he watched some of my matches, and he said, I'm going to talk to Vince, and I'm going to get you booked in New York. And so he did, and I went for a couple of tryouts in South Carolina and North Carolina, and came back to Puerto Rico, and took maybe 3 months between the tryouts and the call back. And they said that they want us to team up together, like me and Jacques, and my name was going to be Pierre. And since we couldn't use the name of the Mounties, originally we were supposed to be the Mounties, but the Mountie in Canada, the Royal Canadian Mountie Police, the RCMP, they said, it's not good for our image, and you need to. They put a lawsuit on Vince. So Vince's response to that was like, okay, we're going to still sing you guys are going to still sing the song, but you're going to say, we're handsome, we're brave, we're strong, we're not the Mounties. So basically it was like kind of a jab to them by the song that became so popular, because we're very good singers. So it kind of made the people cringe a little bit, I guess. So it was like it became a very popular song, and we had a good run.
Do you think that that Vince would have kept with the Quebecers if your tag team partner hadn't decided to, retire? I mean, do you think that would have kept on going? I mean, do you think it was that popular, even though? I mean, I guess you weren't baby faces, but you were kind of in the middle, heels. You were making fun of the Mounties and everything. Do you think that would have kept on going if you hadn't retired?
Yeah, we were a team that we really popped the crowds with our moves. We had a sets of moves that were very, very before ahead of the time. They were like tag team combos, and they were cool, and people really get a good kick out of them, and we were really getting over. And it's just the division that we had, and the vision that WWE had about the whole team. We thought we could have like strong wins, and that would get us even more popular and more over. But we were always winning by cheating or by DQ or count out or hanging on to those belts by no matter what it took. So it wasn't a clear push. So when WrestleMania came, it was supposed to be a big win for us, and in the afternoon we got a meeting, and they said we got good news and bad news. The good news was we were keeping the title, and the bad news was you're not getting the big win. It's going to be like a count out. So Jacques said, going to do whatever they want, and I'm just going to retire. I'm going to quit and say I'm fed up with this business. And first, maybe he was thinking about going to WCW right away, just quitting. But, when you have a contract, it's got to roll out of the contract. On top of that, I'd worked for 8 years, going to Calgary and not getting booked and waiting there on arenas and trying to get a booking and talk to Stuart and get in the ring with Bruce Hart and go through the whole every cities and in Alberta and not getting booked. And after 3 or 4 months, just coming back home with nothing, and then going into the Maritimes for the Dupree's, Rene Dupree, and then working 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, and traveling like crazy and getting caught, and having so much hard times and fighting all the time, and just keep on going through adversity all the time, and then finally making it kind of big in England but with no money, and then making it in Germany with decent money. But, Puerto Rico, where, at one point it was there and I was not getting paid, I had to fly back home, and they had to call me back and say, well, we're going to give you all your money, and if you come back, we want you back, so we're not going to fall behind on the payday. and eventually you make it to WWE, which is your dream for all your life, and then your partner says, well, I'm going to quit. We're going to WCW. And you're thinking, I'm going to have to redo all that again now that I made a name for myself, and I'm here, that I know Vince and JJ and Pat and all the executives, and then now you have to start all over again. So it's I said, no, I can't quit. Can't quit, roll out of the contract, go for a company that at first I don't want to work for them, that I never dreamed of working for them, and just, go through all that hell again. So I wanted to stay. So that's the reason why, that's why.
Yeah. And after he, retired and left, you had a run for, at least a year in the WWE, against Bret Hart. How was that, having a kind of a 3-month program with him? Because like you're talking about Stu Hart and all that stuff, but wrestling with Bret Hart, who, at the time was probably the greatest singles wrestler in the history of the business. How was that, kind of going up and they were saying, hey, you're gonna have a program with Bret Hart. You must have been, excited about that.
I'm pretty sure I never really asked straightforward Bret about it, but I'm pretty sure he had to say yes about having a program with myself. I was pretty new to the business, 25 years old, only 26, 27 at that time with the run with him, but still kind of new into the business in WWE at least. And I think it really got a lot of points when we did the Royal Rumble 94 with me and Jock against Hogan and Bret, and we kind of stole the show there, and we had a great match, and we retained the titles, and later on Bret came back and won the Rumble that night. So I think I made a good impression on Bret that day, and and Bret knew he was there. He witnessed the Jacques Rougeau retirement match. I sold out Montreal Forum, 18,500 people working on top of the bill against Jacques for his retirement match, selling out the building, and also having Undertaker, Yokozuna, Razor Ramon, Jeff Jarrett, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, everybody on the roster was on that show. It was like 11 of 12 matches, and going there main event and stealing the show, I think. Gained a lot of points there with the office, with Vince, with JJ, with Pat, JJ Dillon, and Bruce Pritchard, and all the top guys, executives where they came to the retirement match. So it was a huge night for me, and I delivered like a hell of a performance, and I think that kind of helped my push after that, where I was undefeated for 8 months as Jean-Pierre Lafitte, and having like a super great run, a super fun and great run, and there was some jealousy probably too, and didn't please everyone, but I had paid my dues, and I was doing well. I was doing well for myself, actually. Things turned out to be good. I was watching not too long ago someone on Twitter, Anita. She tweeted something, a battle royal, and it was like big names in it, like Bam Bam Bigelow and Madam Bomb, and it was like Razor Ramon, and all the top guys were in that battle royal. I think I ended up like going until the end with it was me, Owen, and Mario Jannetty at the end. So I didn't even remember that when I was watching that battle royal. I said, "Oh, I was having a good push, I was having a good run," and so I was involved in a lot of great matches and good angle with Bret as well. So it was a good learning year. I learned a lot from Bret. It was a good experience for me.
Yeah, and then you decided to take the show, your career down south to World Championship Wrestling, and reunite with your old tag team partner. How was that? I know it wasn't I mean, in some people's opinion, I'll get your opinion. Maybe it not have been as successful as the Quebecers, but you were the amazing French Canadians. I mean, what made you want to, kind of go down south and, try your luck at World Championship Wrestling?
Well, you probably heard the story that was involved with Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash in a big drama situation, and that kind of was hard for me. I mean, up until that match with Kevin and where Shawn got involved. And the clique. When I say that clique, well, I never had any beef with Razor or with Triple H or with the Kid or even Aldo Montoya when he was with them a little bit. But my beef was really with Kevin and Shawn, and I just didn't handle the situation in a professional way. Looking at it backwards, I've learned a lot from that, but I was just trying to confront them, and I was not happy with the way that the dressing room was going, and the way the attitude that they were bringing to the dressing room, and controlling a lot of the dressing room back then, having a lot of power, and I was really against it, and I just thought that I don't know what I thought. It just did a big mistake, by not wanting to do business with them, and just telling them basically that I was gonna walk home and just drive my car back home, and didn't want to wrestle with WWE anymore, and didn't want to have anything to do with that. After spending I don't know how many years wanting to make it there and trying to go into so much adversity and fighting so hard, and I don't know, I guess I got really on a big downer. I was really I wasn't good at politics, and I was pretty truthful to myself, and sometimes you think the problem is everybody around you, and then eventually you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you realize that maybe you're the center of all your problems, and you have to change yourself in order to change the environment around you, and made me realize a lot of things, and made me work on myself as a human being, and all those years, and even when people thought that I was not present in the business, I always thinking about it, never stopped dreaming about it, never stopped wanted to achieve my goals and the main goals that I had, and I had to really focus on my person, because we can't separate life from wrestling, and you can't separate wrestling from life. They're both related together, so if you're miserable in life, it's hard to have success in the business. And if you're miserable in the business, it's hard to be happy in your life. So it's kind of a big question of attitude. And I didn't have the right attitude. And I've seen Kevin Nash a bunch of times last year in 2009. I worked him in Montreal. I handed out a package to Shawn Michaels in 2007, which he gave to Vince, and all those guys are cool with me. And I just feel like I didn't get to know them really, and I just saw the bad sides, and I really got worked up, and basically took myself out of the game.
Yeah, and your time at WCW, was it a lot different than when you were in the WWF? Did you?
Well, yeah. What happened? It's like I had to let the contract roll for almost 8 months before we could start with WCW, and the negotiations were long with Eric Bischoff. Took times. We were going through our lawyer and exchanging faxes and phone calls, and it kind of took forever to put the deal together for a 1-year deal, and it just kind of got really. How can I say? I mean, I kind of lost my appetite or my hunger for the business through the tough time there. Quitting was tough for me, quitting WWE and leaving my dream there and starting all over again with another company. And especially it took so much time to put that deal together that so I did a lot of things the wrong way, and we were supposed to start on a big note with a big win, and it was Nasty Boys. I think the first big win supposed to have on Nitro, and they were good friends. Probably Nob's good friends with the Hulk, and went to see Hulk. And Jacques was a good friend with Hulk too, because he had work in '97. That was after though, so that's after when they did the match Hulk and Jacques. But he had respect from Hulk for the story with Dynamite Kid and the fight and everything, fighting back and holding to his ground and things like that, and working. Always warming up the crowd for Hulk on main event and things like that. So they had good respect for each other, but I guess at the end of the day, he changed the finish, and so it was like we, from day one, we were a little bit disappointed, and we could never achieve the success that we did as the Quebecers. We did okay, but nothing really fell into place like it did the first time, and yeah, it was an awkward time, where it was tough times. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, and you've wrestled for so many companies over the years. I mean, the one that comes to present, kind of back in 2003, TNA. It was, they weren't in their current situation. They were a little better. I mean, how did you come to working for TNA? Was it just you put your feelers out there and you just said, "Hey, I'm gonna try something different," or did you know somebody?
No, I was doing some indies in Canada, and Don Carlos, who's actually right now the president of Impact Wrestling, was a manager in TNA, and I was on the same show. Worked a match against him, something like that. In Canada, and I had done a match against Sami Zayn and Kevin Steen and myself, a 3-way match. It was a hell of a good match. So I knew Don from WWE, so I said, Don, you're in Nashville, right, with TNA? He said, yeah. Well, I said, well, maybe you can hand that to Jeff Jarrett, because Jeff was one of the guy who started TNA, so I gave him that tape, and then he brought it there, and they brought me in, and the first night they had me winning the 8-man battle royal in the X divisions. It was like a mega push, and then after that it was like me and Chris Sabin, me and one of the it was like maybe 4 or 5 shows. And financially, I think my first trip there was pretty crazy. I had to go to Ontario from Montreal, drive across the border with some guys, and then take a fly with Southwest Airlines, a cheap flight, and then get to Nashville. And I said to myself, it's impossible I can be doing that every Wednesday, because it was a Wednesday. Wednesday night was a pay-per-view every Wednesday. So it's pretty crazy. And they were paying me like decent money. So I guess what ended up the whole thing was the amount of money that they were paying me, plus the traveling was really expensive from Montreal to Nashville. For the company that who just started, they could use guys from Florida or from the area and saving on flights and things like that. And that's my guess. I didn't fit in really well. I knew Jeff a little bit. I didn't know Booker was someone that booked in Puerto Rico before. He used to manage the. I have the name on the tip of my tongue. Managed the Eli brothers and WW Dutch Mantel, and we didn't know each other. We never met, never talked. So I just felt like he had his guys, he had his team, and never really was in his plans. Yeah, it didn't work out. Didn't work out there.
But you a couple years later, you decided to retire. I mean, what was the thing that said to yourself, "Hey, I'm going to get out of the business. I'm going to start doing something else"? I mean, what was the pivotal moment, that year when you decided to retire that put you over that line and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to walk away from a business that I've been in, since 1987"?
Well, what happened is I had the TNA run. Had a little ECW run where I had the championship match, for the world title in the ECW arena against Justin Credible with Francine in the corner, which was like a great match. Not too long after that, the ECW folded, and they were running out of money when I got there. So it was like a bad timing. And I did I went back to Germany in 1997 for auto vans. That was just before I got signed back up by Vince for 98, 99 as a Quebecers again with different outfit. I didn't really get over. It was pretty bad. It was a bad run, and I kept on going. Like 2005, I became a intercontinental champion in Puerto Rico, beating Mil Muertes, Ricky Banderas, which was like the top draw in Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico was on fire in 2005. I mean, we would draw like baseball stadium when they were sold out. So TV was great. The business was really up, and those guys, Bandera and bunch of other guys from Puerto Rico were like crazy over. So out of that run, went to England 2007, and then that's where ended up having a match for WWE, a tryout match. But I had like plenty of tryout match for WWE during those years, like 2003, 2005, 2007 in England, and then the last one was 2008 or 2009 in the States, in Connecticut, Mohegan Sun Arena. And then after that, it was always like the same thing after matches and things like that. So we creative don't have anything for you. We don't have anything for you. So, and I didn't know much about the Indies in the States, and pretty bummed out of that. Those, trying so many times to get back in the big time, and having a great run, actually. Always wanted to impact the business, like I said. So you got to keep that in mind, that when, after tryouts, you're not even considered as, we're going to, have a storyline for this guy. It's pretty tough to swallow and to go through. So in 2011, I thought, all the doors are closed. I've been trying for so many years to get something going with WWE, and everywhere else in the world. I've been there, I've done that, and said, well, I'm gonna just settle down a little bit, regroup, you know. So I kind of let go, if you will. I felt like, okay, I gotta stop wanting to push and push and push. Just let go. Don't get hold of it. Just let go. And when I did that, I started to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and karate kyokushin and trampoline, personal trainers and gymnastics, and started to do other things and just keep busy and keep in shape and, you know, stay, you know, improve things to improve the wrestling style and to, you know, if ever an opportunity is presented, just to be ready. And then, so at 2017, I started to come back and a few matches, and then Black Label Pro called me for a show in Indiana. Had a match against All Ego Ethan Page, tore the house down. Joey Janela was there. I met with Destro in between that as a personal trainer for conditioning and things like that. And Joey asked me if I wanted to be part of the Joey Janela Spring Break 2 against Walter. And
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, that was a hell of a match. I mean, Walter's a big guy. I mean, how was that? Wrestling him.
Well, the good thing about it is, like, when Joey approached me in Indiana, he says, for WrestleMania, said, we've been doing this show, the Joey Janela Spring Break. He says, the Spring Break 1 was like, it's been so crazy on the internet, and it was sold out, and it was jam-packed, and it was good. And this year, everybody's expecting the show to top off the show from last year. So I really like you to go against Walter. He's the PWG Pro Wrestling Guerrilla champion, and he's really over. He's a big German. He's Austrian, I don't know, like Germany. I said, oh yeah, Walter, big German. So, and then, started looking at some matches on YouTube and trying to figure out the style and to get ready for it. And also, like, the GCW, like, Game Changer Wrestling promotion, they said, well, the thing is, we want you in Louisiana, but we can't afford to pay the flight, so we will have maybe to drive there. So I said, okay, no problem. I just wanted the opportunity. So I drove, like, it was 42 hours, I don't know, from Montreal to Louisiana, in a 25-minute match, and back another 40 hours. So it was like 80-some hours of just traveling in my car back and forth, without sleep. Just go in there, 40-some hours sleeping the night before, when I got to New Orleans, and then having the match and heading right back out to Montreal. And I had done also some promos with Destro back then. I had done 3 for the Walter match, so it was a little bit hyped up when I get there. People were chanting, cut the deck, because I had cut a deck of cards on camera. So people kind of knew a little bit, and it was a hell of a match. I mean, it's cold as hell when they introduced me, and during the middle of the match, we had a huge chop exchange, and people really got into it. And then when I started hitting, like, moonsault of the top on the inside and spring-legged moonsault and all kinds of crazy moves, and everybody came on blue, and it was like Rocky IV. It was pretty crazy and amazing. Yeah.
I mean, when it kind of, I'm thinking about your 40-hour drive from Montreal to New Orleans for the Joey Janela Spring Break 2. I mean, if a wrestler is currently listening to the show, listening to your interview, I mean, that shows dedication. What would you tell them? I mean, is that something that someone should do? I mean, is that kind of the dedication that they can't pay for you to get there? So instead of saying, you know what, screw that, I'm just going to stay in Montreal or wrestle somewhere close, you drove 40 hours. round trip. I mean, that's something that we would emphasize to wrestlers? You have to do whatever you can do to get on a show.
Yeah. Well, I saw it like even when the good thing about the whole story is like I had wrestled Walter when he was only 18 in Germany's ring WXW 16 carat tournament, but I couldn't remember that because he was a kid back then, and like I mean I was going all over the place. So Walter remembered. He said, "Oh, I remember we worked together in Germany." I said, "Oh yeah, I remember." So it was a little chemistry right there from the beginning. So I said to Walter, I said, "Man, I know you've been wrestling almost 3 times a day for the whole week, and it's another match like another match, but so this is my WrestleMania moment. This is my WrestleMania for me. This is the match of my life. So we gotta go there and we gotta steal the show and we gotta put on a hell of a show." And he was all in for it. So he was there, So he worked his butt off. He worked hard, and it came the way it came, and he was part of that success. And like you said, if I would have said, I'm a veteran, I've been in WWE, if I can't pay my ticket, I'm not showing up there. Well, I knew what I wanted to achieve in this business, and I knew in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve, I needed that show. I knew deep down inside me, I had that gut feeling that I needed to perform and to sell the show that night, and it needed to be in New Orleans, no matter what. If I had to pay my own flight or drive or whatever it could have been, like I was going through so many things to see how I would get there, and I thought it was going to be like Florida to me, like it was going to be like a 25-hour drive, something like that. And as I was going into the road, and I was keep on calling Destro and telling him, well, no, I'm still that many miles away and that many hours away, and it's crazy. And I didn't really study the map that much. I looked at the 95. Okay, it's going right a little bit towards New Orleans. Shouldn't be any longer than going to Florida or Miami. So I said, okay, 25 hours. That's going to be it. Well, as I was going, I mean, miles keep adding, and then I was nervous that I couldn't make it on time. I got there pretty late. Got there maybe at 11 o'clock the night before the show. So didn't have it was a midnight show the next day, but I wanted to get there early to watch Walter wrestle. So I've missed that. So because I was too much road. Yeah, actually, you gotta take risk. And you gotta be courageous. And no matter what people say, like when they told me in Calgary when I was there and 18 years old, they said, "Oh, you better find another job because you're never gonna make it into this business." And I never took anything like that for whatever people were saying. Like Vince McMahon himself told me that I could never be a babyface in the United States of America, that people would never cheer for me. And, I never really took for granted what people were saying to me. I always kind of my way or the highway inside me, to my way of thinking, not my way of acting, but my way of thinking was, I'm gonna do it. I can do it. I can do it. I will do it. I can do it. And that's
and speaking, you made your comeback and you just totally, you went from one extreme to the other, rebranded yourself, repackaged your image. Did you think that the fans were going to take to you as much as they have? Because I've seen you in person wrestle. I've seen stuff on the internet, on pay-per-view. The fans, they just are drawn to your character. You're just it's just awesome. Did you think that would happen, or was it one of those things? Hey, I'm gonna take a risk, see what happens.
Yeah, well, deep down inside, I knew it could happen. I knew I could do that, but think that you can do it and to visualize that you're going to do it and to know deep down inside in your heart that you're going to do it and actually doing it, it's two different things. But yeah, of course, you have to feel it, you have to touch it, you have to, you have to get a feel of it, I guess, before it happens. If I didn't want that, I don't think it would have happened, because it was just a matter of. I remember at one point it was like, I was quitting good jobs, to get back on wrestling. At one point I was doing the voiceovers for a TV station in Montreal for 3 years. I did voiceovers. I was doing indie work also, picking up bookings here and there. I was getting paid like $500 per hour just to do voiceovers, to do different voiceover. And I quit that job actually to go in England and work for, that amount of money per week and traveling like 7 days a week all across the country and working like crazy in wrestling. And I remember the boss of the TV station came up to me. He says, "Man," I said, if you want, we can hold on to the job. We can just replace it for 3 months. And if it doesn't work out over in England, you just come back here and get your job back." And I said, and the name of the guy was Robert. And I said, "Robert, it would be easy for me to say, yeah, hold on to my job for 3 months. If it doesn't work out, I'm coming back here. But that would mean that I don't believe that I can make it in this business. For my own sake, I gotta say hire someone else for just believing in myself. And then when I went there and I had tryouts 2007, 2009, and it didn't work out. Why in 2011 I kind of feel like, okay, I got to regroup and think about, how I want to do this thing, But I never stopped believing in myself. At that point, the guy who was like doing commentary with myself, he was telling me the story is pretty sad, man. He said, you're hanging on to a dream that's never going to happen, and it did hurt me when my best friend or my colleagues said that, my mates said that. I was like, okay, you have the right to say it and to think about it. But so I kind of proved a lot of people wrong so far, which that's not the reason why I'm doing it. It's just because I just promised myself that I was going to go all the way, and that's the promise I intend to keep.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of before we let you go, I got a question. Okay, so you've worked with Cody Rhodes. He took a leap of faith, leaving the WWE, and going to the independent circuit, and now him, the Young Bucks, all the big guys, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, they're starting the All Elite Wrestling AEW. Tongue tied. I mean, is it one of those things that you worked with Cody? I mean, was he one of those guys that kind of took the leap of faith, and one of those guys that you see him being a success with All Elite Wrestling, coming up in the next couple of weeks and in the years to come?
Well, I'm very well treated by Ring of Honor. I'm really having fun. There's such a team spirit there that I've really haven't seen in the dressing room. From top, from the office to the producers, to the ring crew, to the cameramen, and the production of the show itself, and everyone involved in this business at Ring of Honor. It's a top-class organization, really top-class organization. So to say, well, the thing is, like, I don't even know what's going on with Marty's contract, if it's coming up, when. Because I just feel like, even if I'm so tied with Marty, I just feel those decisions are very confidential. For me to ask Marty, well, what's your move? You know, are you staying in our Ring of Honor, or are you going to WWE, or are you going to All Elite, or what you're going to do when your contract's up? I think, you know, from learning from my experience in the past, I think that would be kind of out of the way to ask him about that, about his future. So I really concentrate on what I can have control over, and you know, just on my performances, my videos, my also my friendships with all the members of Villain Enterprises we got such a great chemistry between Marty, myself, tremendous respect for Brody King. Known him since 2018. Like, wrestled him a bunch of times on the indie scenes. So when the proposal for Villain Enterprises was presented to me, it was a big yes, because I knew Marty from 2007 in England, and it just goes to tell you that sometimes, you know, when I went, like I said, like when I quit the job in Montreal at the TV voiceovers, and I went to England, and I thought that everything would be down the drain because it didn't work out there and nothing happened. And when I was out on the indie circuit, like, it was Marty basically who wanted to bring me in the Villain Enterprises, start Villain Enterprises with Brody King. So if I hadn't met him in 2007 and I hadn't make a good impression on him as a person, who knows, you know, what I would have done, you know, maybe I would have signed with All Elite, or maybe I would have, you know, stayed on the indie scene. Who knows, you know, but just because you know, and I'm just saying that, I don't say it would have happened, but I'm just talking for myself, you know, who knows what move I would have tried to do. But when I was in touch with Marty and with ROH, just because of the chemistry that I felt that I had with him and with Brody King, I just thought that it would be a perfect fit for myself right then.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely made a career resurgence, and just wanted to end on that and say thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend a great hour with me and everybody listening.
Well, everything I do, like I like to do it to the fullest and to the best that I can, and I'm trying to really give you the everything the way that I'm thinking about every subject that, you know, or everything that you mentioned, and I'm trying to give you my best, you know, the best of myself on my answers, and to serve, you know, like the fans as the best as I could. So I don't like to go and be short on my answer and just to get something out of the way. It's a privilege for me. And thanks for the opportunity for having me on your show, and I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
We're not the Mounties. We're handsome, we're brave, we're strong. We're not the Mounties, 'cause we enforce the law. You can try to run, but you can never hide. Unlike the Mounties, we always get our man. We're not the Mounties. We're handsome, we're brave, we're strong. We're not the Mounties, 'cause we enforce the law. You can try to run, but you can never hide. Unlike the Mounties, we always get our man. We're handsome, we're brave, we're strong. 'Cause we enforce the law. You can try to run, but you can never hide.